All right, everybody, we back again with another banger, well for the Culture Podcast. This week we got somebody special coming on. Miss Alyson Rae Lawson. She owns two 7-Elevens, doing big things out here. I've been following her for a good little minute. She don't know it, but I've been following her for about a year or so. I kind of peeped the page, and I got the courage to reach out when I got this platform up and going. So if you could just give everybody a little brief background about yourself and what you do and how you even got into all this with the franchise and everything.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, my name is Alyson Rae Lawson, and I am the CEO of Rae Lawson Enterprise, and Rae Lawson Enterprise 2.0, which is a franchisee of two 7-Eleven convenience stores with gas. And I got into it because I felt disrespected in corporate America. I thought I was going to work my way up. I had gotten the degrees that I needed for it, and I was really climbing the ladder. I was a manager of project management, and I just really thought that was the path. But I finally made it to a company where I thought that I was being underutilized and not appreciated. So I looked into franchising because my father franchised 3 McDonald's, and my mother is a realtor, and I'm just so proud of her from retiring from the phone company and figuring something out and building her own empire. So I watched my parents do it, and I thought to myself, I need to do something for myself too, because this just isn't working. And so here I am 3 years later, and I have two 7-Elevens.
Yeah, that's dope. Real quick, I just kind of want to get into that. So you got 3 different degrees?
Yeah. Because I thought I was good. You know how life just pulls you in different directions. And so, of course, I got the first one, and I thought, okay, well, this is fine. And then I got to, I started working for the government, and they were like, you could really rise in government if you have a master's. So I got a master's, an MBA. And then I moved to another company where I started doing financial reporting. And I thought to myself, I really love accounting. So I'm going to get a master's in accounting. And now I'm doing something that's relatable, but not really. And 3 degrees later, I'm like, I probably could have just done with one.
Yeah, I got an MBA and stuff too, and I feel the same way every time I think about it. It's just like I could have probably just did without it. But I definitely get what you're saying about so how did that even come about? How did you kind of branch from so you was in corporate America, I would assume. What were you doing prior to working for 7-Eleven? You were where were you?
I was a manager, a project manager in the good old boys club of the automotive industry, the automobile industry, and there's not a lot of us, and there's definitely not a lot of young of us, and so I just feel like people just weren't really respecting my gift and my talent, and I don't think they really knew my worth. But I knew my worth, and so I stuck to that. But that's what I was doing beforehand, and like I said, if I wouldn't have been doing this, I'd probably still be in corporate America, rising somewhere.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel you. That's kind of the boat I'm in right now. I'm like, I don't really see too many. I kind of bounced around a few different companies, and now I'm kind of just. I actually just moved to Dallas, so I'm just trying to figure it out. The next few years, I'm probably gonna start branching out of this because you really don't see. It's tough when you don't see nobody that look like you, and like you mentioned, it's definitely I'm 27, so trying to find people my age that's at my job too. That's even tougher for what I do. So I definitely could see how that definitely plays a factor. But you mentioned your pops, he got 3 McDonald's. So
he did. He sold them probably when I was in middle school, but he was a black man in the 70s who had 3 McDonald's, and which is it's an amazing thing, you know what I mean, to be a black man in the 70s with 3 of them. But I kind of just watched him, and I really didn't have a desire to franchise. I just watched him, and and I really didn't even realize how big of a deal it was probably until I was in college, and I thought to myself okay, wait a minute, that actually was a really big deal.
Oh yeah, I'm about to say that's dope to me. You talking about
yeah.
And then your mom got her own thing going, so it's kind of you were just almost destined for the entrepreneur path, really.
Yeah, but they never instilled that in me. They never told me that that's what I needed to do. They kind of just let me build my own path, and it kind of just led me to what they do. So I guess it was kind of in my blood, I guess. But
yeah. That's pretty dope to me though. So I guess how did you go about getting where did this whole thing of like a 7-Eleven even come from? Like, how did you even get into this? Like, how did you even get your franchise to begin with?
Uh, franchising really is just about. So I looked into different companies, and I did look at McDonald's and Chick-fil-A, and their buy-in is just ridiculous. But I came across 7-Eleven, and I just ended up researching it. And I went on their website, and it literally like lists out the locations that they have available and who you need to contact by phone. And that's exactly what I did. I reached out to a guy in franchising that was on the website, and they literally just walked me through the entire process.
Oh
They
wow,
really do
that's
hold your hand in making sure that your business succeeds before you take it over.
okay. That's pretty dope. So, I mean, how long did like I guess I know yours is a gas station, right? And I know you got the one across the street. So,
Mhm.
how did you go? Like, that's pretty quick. And you say you've been doing this for like 3 years or so.
Yeah. Oh, I've been out of corporate America for 3 years. I've had the gas stations for my first gas station for about 2 years, and then I had the second one for about a year now.
Yes, I mean that's pretty quick. How did you go? Like, I guess it's kind of just crazy to me. Like, you went from one like 2 year turnaround, and now you got another one. Like, how did that? Like, how was that process?
You never really know anything until you ask. Like there's no process to where like 7-Eleven will be like, okay, well we think that you're ready to carry our brand for a second store. You know what I mean? Like you just have to ask. And I was like, hey, there's a store across the street. It's doing pretty decent. Like I really like it. I really like to see if I can buy it. And let's just see where it goes. And I pretty much had all my ducks lined up in a row. And it just worked. I say it was nothing but the Lord, but I mean, I think it was also preparation in my part as well.
Okay, okay, for sure, for sure. Now, I kind of want to get into because you everything happening right now with like Corona. I mean, I know it didn't hit Dallas like crazy, crazy, like it hit like everywhere else. But like, what was some of like the challenges you had to face with that going on with like two franchises and all that?
So for the first month, it was really difficult. It was very difficult for the first month because nobody really knew what to expect. It kind of just hit out of nowhere. And I'm in Arlington, and so we saw it happen to Dallas first. And I always say Arlington is always 2 weeks to a month behind Dallas. So I saw what was happening in Dallas, and I thought to myself, like, okay, this wave is about to hit Arlington. We just need to prepare for it. But nobody could really just prepare. You know what I mean? So like staffing had to be changed. Just the way we ordered things had to be changed. Like our vault was becoming empty because like as a small business we're suffering, but I mean also large corporations are suffering too, like Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, Lay's, like all of them. Like it just was a hit for everybody. But I ended up bringing a product into the store that you had mentioned earlier, that Black Girl Magic wine. I ended up bringing that into the store, and it was a hit. You know what I mean? It was around the time that George Floyd um, was murdered, and it was like people were just trying to support Black-owned businesses. So it just was kind of a win-win that I brought a Black-owned product into my store. And at the time, Black people were trying to support as many Black-owned businesses as possible. So
Nah,
it started out kind of rough, but it ended up as a win for me. I don't know about everybody else, but it ended up for a win for me. So I'm just thankful.
now I know you mentioned like the whole thing about the uptick and the support of the black-owned businesses. I know you've been a black-owned business personally. Like, how did that like? Because I know a lot of places I saw when all that was happening, that spike and everybody kind of rushing to like show support. It kind of almost had like a negative impact per se on people because a lot of people they weren't prepared to take on that type of business because they had never accounted for that. So did that affect
Right.
you in any way, or were you good with that? Or
Um, It did, and I think that some people looked at it negative, but to me, it was a blessing. You know what I mean? Like for restaurants to be like, we sold out of everything. Like that's absolutely amazing. It really, really is. Because that means that you hit the highest amount that you were prepared for. But just imagine if the next week we were even more prepared. So some people looked at it as a negative, like all these Black-owned businesses are running out of this or running out of that. It wasn't just us. Like it was everybody. And I think that people just scrutinized us the most. But I never saw it as a negative. I saw it as a win. Because at the end of the day, I know people who went into a place and they were like, "Oh, we're all sold out today," and they just kept coming back and coming back and coming back until they got it. It was the same with the Black Girl Magic wine I brought in. Like I would sell all out in one day, and people would come back the next day, the next day, the next day, and to just see. So I think that it was an amazing, amazing venture by all Black people, to whereas we could like really sell out some stuff. It lets you know like how powerful of the people we really, really are.
Okay. Now, just to take a step back and talk kind of about the wine that you do, the Black Girl Magic brand that's in there. I know that's black owned, right? So, can you kind of just talk
Mm-hmm.
about like the process of getting that set up and like how? Because I guess when I think about gas stations, especially like any kind of liquor, alcohol beverages, I just think of like beer, something like that. You don't really think about people going to get wine. And when I pull it up to your establishment, you got like a whole like it's just right there front and center. And it's just like I
Yeah,
wouldn't even imagine somebody having that much wine. And you said you selling through it like that. Like, can you just kind
yeah.
of establish how that relationship even got started?
Yeah, so 7-Eleven sells beer and wine, and it just depends on the area that you're in. Because before I had Black Girl Magic, I still had an extensive wine collection, and it ranged all the way from $4 bottles of wine to 20-something dollar bottles of wine. If you go to downtown, they have $100 bottles worth of wine in their 7-Elevens. So it just depends on like where you are and what your people around you would buy. Um, and so you're right. Whenever I got Black Girl Magic, I ended up having to extend my entire aisle. So now my whole first row is nothing but wine. And what happened was is that I saw my friend works for a distributor, a distributing company that distributes the wine. And he's the manager of diversity for his company. And he was just showing off like the black owned wine that they were bringing in. And I just happened to see it on his Instagram page, and I thought to myself, I'm a black owned business. Why not have a black owned wine? And it started off me just posting it on my Instagram page. I bought a couple of cases, and when those sold out, I bought a couple more cases. And then at one point, I was selling 1,100 bottles a day. And it just got to a point to where as the distributing company couldn't keep up, the McBride Sisters couldn't keep up, I couldn't keep up. And so we were just going periods where we didn't have it. But when we got it, people were like flocking to it. And it still is running at a good rate. You know what I mean? Like I'm still selling 30 bottles a day, which is unheard of, which is more than a liquor store, which is more than Kroger's, which is more than anybody can sell of any wine. And so it just kind of just blew up from there. But I'm thankful for it. I mean, it literally saved me during COVID. So I'm very, very thankful for it. But yeah, I'm the only retailer to have their entire wine collection. There's 11 bottles. I'm the only retailer to have all 11.
Yeah, hey, kudos to you. Cause that's crazy though. 1,200. That's like to me. That's like liquor store numbers to me. Honestly, if you just
It is.
really breaking it down.
It is.
Golly. So I'm trying to process that. So I'm like, okay, a lot of times because we at least when I think about gas stations, I definitely don't see people that look like me and you and like running them establishments. But I just want to say, like, how does that work with, especially like you being a black woman? Like, do you have to like deal with like the gas industry and all that, or like I don't know how that works. Like you being a black woman, do you deal with like the gas per se, or how does that set distribution with the oil industry even set up for you?
Okay, so 7-Eleven pretty much sets that up for you before you even come. And so whenever I bought the store, one of them had Shell and one of them had Exxon. We have a contract with them. So if the pumps break down or the gas needs to be refilled or any of that, that's on them. It's a contract that we have that brings, and it kind of is a win-win. So a lot of people follow Shell, a lot of people follow Exxon, and are looking for Exxon or Shell. And so it brings people to my store, and in return, they get to sell their gas. So it's kind of a win-win situation. As far as being a black woman in the gas industry, you're very, very correct. It is extremely rare. It's even more rare for somebody to be doing it by themselves. But there are a few of us out there, and shout out to the ones that I do know. But it's an adjustment for people, but people are loving it. I have customers of all races, all gender. Like I literally have so many different people coming in who support me, and it's not just black people, And so I think people like the fact that it's something different, and they like the fact that it's personable, and we take the time to get to know everybody. And I think that gas stations need a woman's touch in order to make it be more than just a gas station.
Okay, yeah, because that is very key. Like you being, everybody's gonna support, and I appreciate. And I will say that, like, although I don't know you like on a very personal level or nothing like that, I just kind of like, every day I kind of peep your stories on Instagram and stuff like that, And like I just like your personality, just to be honest. Like you really don't care. Like you just kind of live free, and
Oh
I think
yeah,
that's dope. Like I be seeing you
I
jamming,
think
like you be
I
jamming in the
think
morning. I'll be
yeah, I think, see, and that's so funny is because like I spent so much time in corporate America. And I spent so much time being what they thought I should be as a Black woman. And so now I'm like, I'm out of that and I'm going to do what the hell I want to do, all within restraint. And so I do thank corporate America for teaching me business. And I do thank them for teaching me, kind of like, how to, just how to conduct myself.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm going to be me. And that's just always who I am. I always said the Lord is working on me. So you can put a business suit on me. You can not put a business suit on me. You can put me in corporate America. You put me here. But like at the end of the day, I'm going to be myself. And that's all I can be.
That's dope. And speaking of, how you mentioned the business suit or not, I always see you rocking the black-owned, the HBCUs. I always see you rocking
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
That's
I
dope.
always wear something. In fact, I think one of my shirt underneath is a Black-owned nonprofit. So my thing is that I always wore suits and I always wore heels in corporate America. And literally, like if you ask anybody I've ever worked with, they will tell you that Alyson was always dressed to the T. Like my aunt gave me 30 of her old business suits, and like I literally had heels every day. But whenever I got here, I was like, you know what? I want to be comfortable. Like I tried that whole, dressing up thing whenever I first started. In fact, 7-Eleven, I think, had asked us to like, look like a business owner. It's kind of like in our like look like a business owner. But I thought to myself, like, they don't know what a millennial business owner looks like. Like what's a business owner? Like this is me, and it's not a day that goes by that somebody doesn't come in that doesn't know that I own the place. And to me, like being a boss isn't about like bossing people around. It's not about telling people what to do. It's not about like me wearing a certain thing. It's about like me, and I exude ownership. And so I always try, and then also I try to wear something that's always meaningful. One, for social media, but two, for the people that come in, because you never know, one, who you can inspire. You never know who's watching you. When I come in with my Delta Sigma Theta shirts, like it strikes up conversation. I have AKAs stop and talk to me, Alpha stop and talk to me. Like you never really know. And I think that makes me a little bit more personable, knowing that like I'm of the community, and I'm just here to be helpful.
Yeah, that's definitely dope because I just like I mentioned earlier, I really like your personality. Like that, like you just a dope human being. Period. Like every time I just tune in to like everything you got going on. So I definitely want to just salute you because that's definitely dope what you out here doing. So, but I do have one question though. So
What's up?
you do have a franchise, and so can you kind of just break down what is like some of the like advantages and disadvantages when when dealing with a franchise per se?
Okay, so there's a lot of advantages of coming with a friend. Like whenever I walked in, everything was done for me. Like everything, like when you buy it from 7-Eleven, like everything is done. Like your ordering system is there, your POS registers are set up, your credit card machines are set up, your whole setup is in the back. You have all of your inventory all on the floor. If anything breaks down, you call 7-Eleven because they have their own maintenance people that come out and fix everything. If the pumps break down, so it's pretty much like they kind of set it up, and then I just maintain it. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the beauty of owning a franchise. I think that at any given point, I could sell it and walk away. So if one day I say, you know what, I don't want this anymore, like they'll take it back, they'll sell it, and we'll just keep it moving. And so I think that's the advantage. I think also another advantage is that people already know the 7-Eleven name, just like people already know the McDonald's name, people already know the Chick-fil-A name. I don't have to go out and advertise. I am on social media because I feel like I want to bring in not only another type of clientele, but I just want to make sure that people know that I'm here. So I don't necessarily have to advertise because people already know it. There's already a blueprint written out. So that's the advantage. The disadvantages is that because everybody knows it's a 7-Eleven and because everybody knows the name, you get all different types of people, and some are going to support you and some are not going to support you. I think in any business, theft is a huge thing. So it's just I don't really see currently any disadvantages, but right now I'm seeing nothing but advantages. You know, like I'm having a good time and I'm making money. So that's really what matters to me.
That's definitely dope. That's definitely dope. But so one last thing I just want to like understand. So you got at the 7-Eleven franchise, you have that, but you got Ray Lawson Enterprise. So it's kind of like the way I know like franchise work is like I guess you just more so you are the business behind it per se. So like you deal with
Mm-hmm.
everything. You're okay. So all right, I was just curious about that.
Yeah. So what happens is that pretty much I paid 7-Eleven to use their name, and at which point 7-Eleven gives it to me, and it runs from there. Ray Lawson Enterprise is what runs the business. So when people sue, it's me. It's not 7-Eleven. When my employees get paid, it's not through 7-Eleven. It's through Ray Lawson Enterprise. It's my LLC behind the name that is running it.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of dope. Though. So if anybody come in there kind of like complaining or anything, it's no let me get a hold of corporate. That's just
They
they
love
got to deal
that.
directly with you.
People love that one. I'm gonna call corporate. I'm like, tell them Alyson said hello. But I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm not out here, I mean, there are like certain things that they could call corporate about. Like if I'm out here just truly messing up, you know what I mean? Like just truly. Because at the end of the day, when I bought the store, I told them I would uphold some of the things in which they need us to uphold. And so, but nobody ever just those complaints literally come to us, which is why I'm always saying like it's good to get to know your franchisee in your neighborhood, because when people bring me complaints, they know that I truly do care and I truly will try to fix it. And so I kind of make it that way so people don't feel like they always have to go to corporate, because all corporate's going to do is just pass it back down to me. So again, it hits me, and I truly care. You know what I mean? Like I truly care about every complaint, and I want to make sure that everybody has a good experience at my store.
Oh, that's dope. So I know you got the two. So like, what's next? Are you planning on getting like a third store anytime soon, or are you just gonna kind of rock out with the two?
Everybody always asks me what's next, and I always tell people I had no idea. Like I had no idea I was going to get one, and then I had no idea I was going to get two. And so I don't really set goals. I like to tell people I'm an opportunist. Whatever opportunity I see in front of me or that's presented to me, I'm going to jump on that. Period, and I'm going to make it work. So that could be another store that's offered that comes out there, and I'm going to jump on that opportunity. But do I have a goal to get more? No, I have a goal to make the two work that I currently have. That's it.
Oh, that's it. Okay, all right. And what how does that work with it? With them being right across the street from each other, like I would imagine does that like take away anything from it or
no, because it's on the side of the street where there's no U-turns. So one gets one side of this way of traffic, the other gets this way of traffic. One gets morning flow of traffic, the other gets afternoon flow. So there's no like one doesn't take competition away from the other. The bigger one is my commuter store for like people who are traveling. It holds trailers, like big old trailers. It holds lawn trailers, and it's just easy in and out. The other one across the street is more like my community corner store. It's the one that's easily accessible to the community, and so people can walk there. It also is the one that services all the businesses on that side. So it's just a different flow of traffic. It just they both are really good stores. But you know how like whenever you go on road trips and you're on a freeway and there's one on each corner.
Yeah.
People forget that all the time. People are like, it doesn't make any sense to have a gas station, but it does, and you see it all the time. And that's exactly what this is. 20 is a very big, busy freeway of people traveling back and forth, and it just kind of gives people easy access. And now it just so happens that I have both of them, so it's a win-win situation.
When you break it down like that, it make a lot more sense. Because when I'm definitely guilty. I see them. I'm like, why they got them like boom, boom? Like I don't understand that. Like, what's the point of that? But I guess it makes sense.
And at one point, they were both corporate stores. And then I bought one of them. So then it was me in a corporate store. So really, it's like if it was competition, I bought out my competition. So that way I could make double the money on that corner.
Okay, I got you. Hey,
I share supplies back and forth. Yeah, I share supplies back and forth. When employees don't show up at one store, I can transfer another one real easy. Hey, could you just walk across the street and help out the other store? So it's actually it makes it very, very easier to manage than it would having two stores that were not by each other.
Oh yeah, that's that. Wow, that's crucial. I didn't even think about none of that. Like that's very big with supplies, especially. I'm sure that really helped you out during like the start of like the pandemic and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go and pivot on to the next segment. I like to do the a whole questions from the culture thing. Like I usually just post this like I'm bringing somebody on, and some people will inquire, shoot me DMs or text, and like they have questions. I ain't gonna take up too much of your time. I ask you a couple questions that I got real quick. If you could just give some answers to provide some insight to some people. So,
Yeah, for sure.
all right. So here is one. Uh, how did you get started? We kind of went over that. Did you have to put any cash down, or like how long did this process take when you got this franchise? Like, what was that like whole process like?
Oh yeah, for sure. You got to put some cash down. That's the thing. You definitely got to come to the table with some money. But everybody makes their own deals with 7-Eleven, and everybody has their own. Like their stores cost a certain amount of money. So that's between me and 7-Eleven, which will be between you and whatever franchise you decide to get. But they love hardworking people. So if you gonna come to the table with some hardworking, with a hardworking mindset. The process it takes a few months, but um, it's not as strenuous as one may think. They do ask for a lot, but it's because they really want you to carry their brand name. Their brand, like once they sell it to you, they want you to be able to carry their brand name well. But it just depends. You know what I mean? Like if the store is already built, it takes a smaller amount of time. If the store isn't built, there could be a competition of 2 or 3 people who want it. So it really just depends on how fast you work and how fast you can get them your information.
Okay. Also, another question. They want to know how much profit you make on gas.
Oh, I make pebbles on gas, but I do make a profit. And every gas station is different, so I don't like to tell people like what my percentage is on it. But I will say this: that whenever you come to a gas station, whenever you come to my gas station, I really, 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 really do appreciate you all getting gas. But my money is made on the inside. My real money is
Oh,
made
okay.
on the inside.
I always wondered that. I guess when you say it differs from store to store, but I always did wonder that. I figured y'all be making bank just off the gas alone. That would cover everything.
No, don't get me wrong, we do make a good amount, but not as much as Shell and Exxon are making. But the gas just brings the people to the lot. You know what I mean? And at which point, when you come
Okay.
inside, that's where my money is made.
Okay, then. Okay, all right. I appreciate you don't answering those couple questions though for me for
Yeah, for
everybody that
sure.
was asking. And for the last segment, I like to do like a little lightning round. So I like to do like a little black standout on your timeline, like just somebody in the community like that look like us that's in the community out there that you've seen on your Instagram, Facebook, or wherever that just like stood out to you.
Okay. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. I want to shout out 2 people. First and foremost, I want to shout out to Shara Parker, Channel 8. That's the homie. She's also a part of the Bun Ministry. She is shaking up the television world, the news world right now, and I don't think anybody is ready for her, but we were ready. So I say shout out to her. And secondly, I want to shout out LNG Learning Solutions, my friend from high school, and her friend Lauren and Gabby. They did. They started their own company where because parents during the pandemic they still have to go to work. Their kids still have to go to school, but they don't want their kids to go to school because they could. So
Yeah.
they started a learning center where
Oh,
the
okay,
kids
that's
can
dope.
space out and they have tutors and they could literally do their schooling all day. And they literally hit the ground running and they have a full, not too full because it's still safe, protected from COVID, but they have a full class. And I truly do appreciate something like that. People who can like realize the problem and, and have a solution for it.
Okay, okay. The next question is going to be a book recommendation you got for somebody. It could be related to anything. It doesn't have to just be strictly business.
Oh my goodness. People always ask me about my book recommendations and I hate to sound so ignorant, but I don't have time to read. My mom bought me Michelle Obama's book but she bought it to me on audio. And so I have the CD for it. And so I do listen to that on my way into work whenever I'm not listening to music.
Okay. Oh yeah, you do be jamming though, so I can understand. I mean,
But yeah,
I,
I'm halfway through her book now. And she's just an inspiring person to be, just in general, like, the first lady to have rhythm in the White House. And so it's just and to be the most educated and the most, like it's a blessing that we had her and Barack Obama. And so I'm just really inspired by her, period.
Okay. So next question. What failure taught you the most?
What failure? I try not to fail. That's what I'm I try not to fail. I will say that I've had a couple of failures here as far as like making bad business decisions that cost me a lot of money. Like whenever I first started, I was trying to hire as many people as possible so that way it could function as well as possible. But I lost a lot of money, like a lot of money. And I think about how much money I could have saved and how like I would be okay with COVID right now if I would have saved all that money. But just me trying to get a gist of like who I should hire. And I was hiring like 3 people on a shift at one point, and now I'm running it like one person on a shift with me. So it was just that adjustment period, but that made me truly realize that like, okay, girl, you need to get your shit together because like this isn't gonna work. But you learn from those type of things, and you become a better business person for your second store.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely dope. I always say, I got the acronym FAIL, first attempt to learn. I say, yeah, that's definitely dope. Like as long as you learn from it, that's all that really matter though.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't make the same mistake, and then you pay it forward, and then somebody else will make that same mistake. So,
Right.
for the next question, what is one thing that you think the Black community needs to improve on?
I think we need to improve on support. I think that right now people are supporting people, and you know what I mean. But I think that there comes a time when people are like, "Oh my goodness, like this is too high." Like when people come in, they're like, "This wine is too high," and I'm like, "Okay, but you'll go to the liquor store, you spend all your money at a non-Black owned liquor store, or like they think that because it's Black owned, it needs to be cheaper, and that's not what it is. Because it's Black owned, it has to be more expensive because we don't make those same deals. Like when people come in and they're like, "Oh, well, we found the wine somewhere else cheaper." And I'm like, okay, well, first and foremost, like they're a wholesaler. So like, and of course they're not going to sell it to a small business for the same prices. And of course I have to make a certain amount of money to even keep it in my store. So it's like, there's a lot of things behind it that people don't cut us slack on. It's like, your clothes are too high. It's okay. Well, you go to Gucci, you buy Gucci stuff, you know what I mean? Like,
and they got no problem spending that either.
Right, spending all that money, but yet we could be as big as a fashion designer, a Black-owned fashion designer could be just as big as Gucci if you would spend that money on the Black-owned designer. That's how Gucci is who they are.
I mean, we the reason we keep a lot of these places in. Yeah, we keep a lot of these places in business, honestly. Just our culture here.
I think we could be a very strong and powerful, and we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. We're buying Black, and like at some point, I don't even care about the price. Sometimes if it's reasonable, like I don't really care about the price. But I think that thinking that we're gonna be just like a non-Black owned business in the beginning is the crazy part. Like we have to get there.
Yeah, it's definitely big because every other community support each other. I'm just, we are working towards being better at that, but it's definitely going to be a journey for us. And for the last question, what's one piece of advice you would give somebody?
One piece of advice I would give somebody is the same advice I give everybody else. Like, be you. Like, be you. Unapologetically, 100% you. Because at the end of the day, nobody gives a damn about you. So you might as well feel comfortable in who you are, period.
Man,
and I spent a lot of time in corporate America trying to be somebody else. And I didn't feel my most comfortable until I was at a position where I could be myself. I could be goofy, but because I knew that I knew what I knew. And they let me be who I was and use my creativity. At that point, I realized I had found a really good spot. Unfortunately, I had to move and eventually started this. But that's when I realized that like being me is very important. And especially being an entrepreneur is very important because right now, whatever you're doing, I guarantee you somebody else is also doing it. There's not something you can pick right now that ain't nobody else doing. Like there is nothing you can invent that ain't nobody else doing. The point is that you have to be different. You have to set yourself apart. And if your product is going to be the same, find a way for it to be unique. And if you can't find a way for it to be unique, sell yourself. Sell yourself with the product in order to make people, because you could get the wine wherever you want to get the wine. But at the end of the day, like I'm selling myself to these people on social media, and I'm being myself doing it.
Yeah, and it's dope because you got a Black-owned business within a Black-owned business. Like that's super dope to me. Like if you ever think about it like that, like that's kind of how I think about it.
Thank you.
But I definitely like what you're doing. I'm definitely gonna keep supporting. I'll probably stop by there. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna catch you one of these days. I'm up here in
Yeah, one of
Frisco
these
though, so
days.
it's tough when I try to get down there. I'm up in Frisco right now, so but I'm
I
gonna definitely come
understand.
probably grab a couple bottles before I go back to the H for sure. But I
Yeah.
definitely want. I appreciate everything you out here doing because hey, let me give a shout out, man. The Black women, period, because y'all be doing it, man. Y'all don't be procrastinating. I like,
The most
y'all get straight
underrated
to it.
people, the most underrated people in America are Black females. The most
Hey, y'all be
powerful
getting
people
to
in
it.
America are Black females. I need people to remember that.
Hey, I give y'all all credit because man, y'all. That's one thing I say about Black women, man. Y'all get something and y'all just go. It ain't no wait, no nothing. It's just getting to it, and I
So
respect that. Like
we
that's one thing
appreciate that.
I be like I got to work on myself. I be trying to take that for y'all because y'all get to it, man. Y'all don't. That's just y'all go 0 to 100. It don't even matter. No slowing down.
We
But
try.
can you just do me a favor though? Can you plug? First off, I just want to thank you for coming on this platform because I'm new, I'm just getting started, so I just want to thank you for that for sure because you got you a following going and you didn't have to do this for me at all. So I just want to for sure, first and foremost, thank you for everything. Thank you for coming on here and giving some insight to the people and just sharing your knowledge and your journey and how everything happened with you. So I just want to thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I appreciate that. I'm glad to be here.
And can you do me one favor though? Because I guarantee I will get this question. Can you go ahead, plug in all your social media, everything? Just plug yourself in real quick for everybody.
Yes, I can do that. My social media is my Instagram is at the number 7, spell out 11, underscore Rae, Rae Lawson, Lawson. My Facebook is at Rae Lawson underscore 7, spell out 11. And my Twitter is at Rae Lawson underscore the number 711.
Okay. And I have all that in the show notes for everybody if anybody curious. They didn't catch that. Just a couple housekeeping items. If you felt like this podcast brought you any value, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Once again, thank you for tuning in. And I want to give a huge shout out to Ms. Alyson Rae Lawson for coming on the show, giving her insight on everything while she at work. It took a second out of her day to come dedicate to y'all, man. So y'all go support if y'all out here in Dallas. Go pull up, get a couple of bottles of Black Girl Magic. I know I have already. I'm probably gonna be going back to grab a couple more before I head out. So once again, Miss Alyson, I want to thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's it. We signing out.